and welcome to Blender Bitstream. Today I'm looking at a free add-on from Blender Studio called Brushstroke Tools. It gives you a full oil painted look directly inside your 3D scenes. You can find Brushstroke Tools on the official Blender extension page, and the link to the add-on is in the description. Here I have a scene with a 2 meter wide icosphere. I'm going to set the renderer to Eevee. Since Cycles is not ideal for this add-on, you can use it, but it doesn't perform as well. In Eevee settings, I'm going to activate ray tracing and set it to light probe, and set the resolution to 1:1. I'll also switch on rendered viewport shading. The Brushstroke Tools UI lives in the sidebar, which you can open by pressing the N key and clicking the Brushstroke Tools tab. Now with the sphere selected, I'll click Fill, and that will add brushstrokes that I can edit. I can adjust the color in the color tab of the brush shape, and if I set it to single color, it will paint the one color that I set. In the brush tab of the shape menu, I can adjust the brush width and length, and in the surface tab, I usually check trim to mesh. This will cut strokes that are poking past the surface too much, but it depends on the look you want. You might want this unchecked for a less ordered paint style. Turning on the wireframe overlay gives some insight into how the add-on works, and you can see how polys might add up fast. This is why I usually turn the stroke resolution down to 3. This helps keep the scene efficient later on when many objects are painted. With the resolution turned down, I can increase the density so the brushstrokes cover the surface. The stroke variation tab gives extra control, with noise adding variation that makes the strokes look more complex and less uniform, and random tilt adding variation to the angle of each stroke, which is great for flat surfaces. Normal offset determines how far off the surface the strokes sit, and shrink wrap curves the strokes to the surface, much like a shrink wrap modifier would. I like to keep shrink wrap somewhere around 0.4. If I want more control over the color of the strokes, I can use vertex colors. First I'll hide the strokes by clicking the display icon, and now I'll select the icosphere and go into edit vertex color mode. I'll also set the shading to solid. Now I'll select all verts and add a red vertex color to them with set vertex colors in the paint menu. Next I'll select a pole vert, and in the select menu I'll choose more, which expands the selection. I'll then set a white vertex color to those verts. Now I'll go back to object mode and set the viewport shading to rendered. If I choose surface attribute in the color method, it will set the stroke color to the vertex color I just made. In the materials menu of the brush strokes, I can set things like the brush style, which changes the type of brush being applied to the strokes. And I can also add effects to the strokes like this crayon effect. There are so many options, and it's pretty fun experimenting with the settings. Individual brush strokes can also be added to create subtle details that the fill strokes might miss. If I click draw and set the color and normal offset, I can draw strokes directly onto the object, and I can edit the stroke details after they've been made, which is very convenient. This add-on opens up a world of creativity, and I recommend giving it a go for a few days to see what you come up with. This is great for beginner 3D artists because you don't need complex shapes to get amazing results, even with a simple demo scene like this one. Hopefully this helped you dive into Brushstroke Tools and unlock a bit of that Monet energy. If you'd like to support the channel, leave a like and subscribe for more Blender Bitstream. Thanks!